Captain Lee Jun stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony, watching the stars through the massive window. His ship was moving through space toward the neutral station called Concordia. This was supposed to be the most important day in human history. The Galactic Council had invited humanity to join them for peace talks. Lee Jun was a careful man. He had been a soldier before becoming a ship captain. He knew that when someone offers you something that sounds too good to be true, it usually is. The Council ruled 12 different alien races across hundreds of star systems. They had been in power for thousands of years. Now they wanted to talk to humans who had only been traveling between stars for 50 years. Ambassador Park Hana walked onto the bridge. She was a smart woman who used to plan military operations before becoming a diplomat. Her black hair was pulled back in a tight style and her dark eyes looked serious. She carried a datapad with information about the aliens they were about to meet. "Captain, we will reach the station in 2 hours," she said. "Are your people ready?" Lee Jun nodded. "My crew knows their jobs. Commander Choi Bin has checked our security systems 3 times. Dr. Kim Tae has studied all the files about alien cultures. We are as ready as we can be." Park Hana looked out at the stars. "I have been reading the treaty they want us to sign. They call it the Peaceful Coexistence Accords. It sounds nice, but there are problems." "What kind of problems?" Lee Jun asked. "The treaty says humans can only live in the 17 star systems we already control. We cannot expand to new systems. We cannot build more than a certain number of ships. We have to ask permission before we develop new technology." Park Hana's voice was calm, but Lee Jun could hear the anger underneath. Dr. Kim Tae came over to join them. He was a thin man who studied alien life forms. He had spent years learning about the different races in the council. "Ambassador, I have been thinking about why they want this treaty now. Humans have been peaceful. We have not attacked anyone. We trade fairly with other races. So why do they want to limit us?" Park Hana smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Because they are afraid of us, Doctor. In 50 years, humans have spread to 17 systems. Most races take hundreds of years to do that. We learn fast. We adapt fast. We build things they have never seen before." Commander Choi Bin approached them. He was a big man with scars on his hands from old battles. He did not trust aliens, and he made no secret of it. "Captain, my sensors are picking up something strange. There are supposed to be only diplomatic ships at the station, but I am seeing energy readings that look like weapon systems." Lee Jun frowned. "Are you sure?" "I am sure. These are not just any weapons either. These are military-grade systems. The kind you put on warships, not on ships that carry diplomats." Choi Bin's voice was hard. Park Hana closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, they were cold. "It seems our new friends want to make sure we understand their point of view." The ship's communication system made a sound. A voice came through the speakers. It was speaking in the common galactic language that most aliens used for trade. "Human ship Harmony, this is Concordia Station. Please follow the course we are sending to your ship. Do not change direction. Do not activate any scanning systems." Choi Bin looked angry. "They are telling us what to do before we even dock. That is not how you treat honored guests." Lee Jun walked to his captain's chair. "Follow their course, but keep our own sensors running. If they ask, tell them our systems automatically scan for dangers to the ship." As they got closer to the station, they could see it was huge. It was built like a wheel with many spokes. Ships from different alien races were docked at various points around the wheel. Lee Jun could see the long curved ships of the Veltar Empire. The Veltar were the military force of the Council. Their ships looked like weapons even when they were just sitting still. Dr. Kim Tae was studying his instruments. "Captain, there are more ships here than they told us about. I count at least 50 vessels, and many of them are Veltar warships." 50 ships for a peace talk?" Park Hana asked. "That seems like a lot." A new voice came through the communication system. This one spoke in English with a strange accent. "Greetings, humans. I am Counselor Bexhai of the Veltar Empire. Welcome to Concordia Station. We are pleased that you have accepted our invitation." Park Hana stepped forward. "Thank you, Counselor. We look forward to productive discussions." "Indeed. We have prepared comfortable quarters for your delegation. The formal talks will begin tomorrow. Tonight, there will be a reception where you can meet representatives from all 12 council races." After the communication ended, the bridge was quiet for a moment. Then Choi Bin spoke. "Something is wrong here. You do not bring 50 warships to a party." Lee Jun agreed. "Send a coded message back to Earth. Tell them about the ships we are seeing. Use the secure channel. Park Hana was reading something on her data pad.
I have been looking at the guest list for tonight's reception.
Do you know who is not invited? Representatives from any of the younger races that joined the council in the last 500 years. Only the old powers will be there. What does that mean? Dr. Kim Tae asked. It means they want to present a united front. They want us to see that all the important races agree about something, and what they agree about is us. Park Hana put down her data pad. Gentlemen, I do not think we are here for peace talks. I think we are here for surrender talks. The Harmony docked at the station with a soft bump. Through the windows, they could see alien workers moving around. The workers were small, gray creatures that Dr. Kim Tae said were called Dren. The Dren had been servants to the council for so long that most people forgot they used to be independent. As the airlock opened, Lee Jun felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's air. He had been in many dangerous situations, but this felt different. This felt like walking into a trap. Counselor Bexhai was waiting for them in the docking bay. The Veltar was tall and thin, with blue skin and forearms. Its eyes were large and black, and when it smiled, Lee Jun could see rows of sharp teeth. "Welcome, humans," Bexhai said. "We have so much to discuss." As they walked through the station, Lee Jun noticed that there were Veltar guards everywhere. They were not hiding the fact that this was a military operation. Park Hana walked beside him, her face calm and diplomatic. But Lee Jun knew her well enough to see the tension in her shoulders. Tonight they would smile and be polite. Tomorrow they would see what the galaxy really wanted from humanity. And Lee Jun had a feeling it was not going to be good news. The reception hall on Concordia Station was filled with aliens from across the galaxy. Ambassador Park Hana moved through the crowd, smiling and shaking hands with creatures that had claws, tentacles, and other things she tried not to think about too much. She had studied each race for months, learning their customs and their histories. The Zephyrians floated in the air using gas-filled sacks on their backs. The Corvan delegates wore heavy armor because their homeworld had much stronger gravity than Earth. The Talnari kept their distance from everyone else because they communicated through electrical fields that could hurt other species. But Park Hana noticed something important. All of these aliens were from the original 12 races that formed the council. There were no representatives from the newer member races. No one from the species that had joined in the last few hundred years. Dr. Kim Tae appeared at her side, carrying a drink that glowed softly blue. "Ambassador, I have been talking to some of the younger staff members, the ones who serve drinks and clean tables. What did you learn?" Park Hana asked quietly. "They are scared. Not of us, but of their own leaders. I spoke to a Dren worker who has been here for 20 years. She told me that 3 other young races were invited to join the council in the past century. All 3 signed treaties similar to what they want us to sign." Park Hana kept smiling at a passing Veltar officer, but her voice was cold. "And what happened to those races? They are still around, but they are not really independent anymore. Their planets provide raw materials to the council. Their ships carry goods for the older races. Their young people serve in Veltar military units. They have become servants, not members." Across the room, Captain Lee Jun was talking to a group of Veltar officers. They were asking him many questions about human ships and human technology. Lee Jun answered politely, but he did not give them any real information. Commander Choi Bin was standing near a wall watching everything. His hand rested near his weapon, though he knew it would not help much if trouble started. There were too many armed aliens in the room. A soft chime sounded and Counselor Bexhai stood up on a platform at one end of the hall. "Friends and honored guests," the Veltar said, "we gather tonight to welcome our newest potential members to our great alliance. The humans have shown remarkable progress in a very short time." The alien crowd made polite sounds of agreement. Park Hana noticed that none of them looked particularly happy about human progress. Bexhai continued, "Tomorrow we will begin formal discussions about how humanity can best contribute to galactic peace and prosperity. We have prepared a framework that will ensure stability for all." After the speech, the aliens began to leave. Park Hana found herself walking with a Corvan official named Tekmar. The Corvan was old even by their long-lived standards, and his armor showed signs of many repairs. "Ambassador Park," Tekmar said in his deep voice. "May I speak freely?" "Of course." Tekmar looked around to make sure no one was listening. "My people joined the council 400 years ago. We thought it would bring us security and prosperity. We were wrong." "What do you mean?" The Council does not want partners. It wants resources and servants. The peaceful coexistence accords are not about peace. They are about control. The old Corvin's voice was sad. My advice to you is simple. Do not sign anything. Go home while you still can. Before Park Hana could ask more questions, Tekmar walked away quickly. Back in their quarters, the human delegation met to discuss what they had learned. The rooms were comfortable, but Dr. Kim Tae had found 3 different types of listening devices hidden in the walls. Lee Jun activated a small device that would block electronic surveillance. What did everyone learn tonight? Park Hana told them about her conversation with Tekmar. Dr. Kim Tae shared what the workers had told him about the other races. Commander Choi Bin reported that the station had far more weapons than any diplomatic facility should have. There is something else, Park Hana said. I managed to access part of the station's communication system while everyone was busy with the reception. I found message logs between the council races from the past 6 months. She activated her data pad and showed them decoded text. They have been planning this for a long time. They call it the human problem. They are worried that we are advancing too fast and might become a threat to their control of the galaxy. Lee Jun read over the messages. His face grew hard. They are talking about economic integration, resource allocation, and population management. This is not about peace. This is about conquest. There is more, Park Hana said. I found references to something called the Final Protocol. If we refuse to sign their treaty, they have plans to implement this protocol. What is it? Choi Bin asked. I could not get the details. But the messages suggest it involves the Veltar fleet and what they call protective intervention. They plan to occupy human space if we do not surrender voluntarily. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Dr. Kim Tae spoke. How many ships do they have? According to the communications, the Veltar Empire has over 3,000 warships positioned around human space. They have been moving them into position for months while pretending to conduct training exercises. Choi Bin cursed in Korean. 3,000 ships. We have maybe 200 combat vessels in our entire fleet. Lee Jun stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the lights of alien ships docked at the station. We need to send a message to Earth immediately. Admiral Yun Kai needs to know what we are facing. I already tried, Choi Bin said. Our communications are being blocked. They are not letting any signals leave the station. Park Hana was reading more of the intercepted messages. There is someone else involved in this. The messages mentioned Director Nam Soo from Human Intelligence, but they talk about him like he is already working with them. That is impossible, Lee Jun said. Nam Soo is one of our most trusted officials. Unless he is not who we think he is, Dr. Kim Tae said quietly. Park Hana found another message and read it out loud. From Bexhai to the Council, the Human Intelligence Director has provided valuable information about their defensive capabilities. His assessment confirms that they pose no significant military threat. The final protocol can proceed as planned if they refuse integration. The implications hit them all at the same time. Either Nam Soo was a traitor, or the aliens thought he was giving them information when he was actually doing something else. We have to assume that everything we told Earth about this mission has been compromised, Lee Jun said. But that might not be a bad thing. What do you mean? Park Hana asked. Nam Soo is one of the smartest people I know. If the aliens think he is helping them, maybe he wants them to think that. Maybe he is playing a deeper game. Choi Bin was checking his weapon systems on his personal scanner. Captain, I am reading massive power buildups in the Veltar ships. They are charging their weapons. All of them? All of them. And there are more ships arriving every hour. This is not a diplomatic mission anymore. This is a military operation. Park Hana looked at the treaty documents on her data pad. Tomorrow they will present us with their demands. They will expect us to sign immediately. When we refuse, they will implement their final protocol. So what do we do? Dr. Kim Tae asked. Lee Jun turned back to his team. We do what we came here to do. We negotiate. We smile, we buy time. And we hope that someone back home is ready for what is coming. And if they are not ready? Choi Bin asked. Lee Jun looked out at the alien fleet surrounding the station. Then humanity is about to learn what it means to fight for survival against the entire galaxy. Outside their window, more Veltar warships arrived in flashes of blue light. The trap was closing, and tomorrow the galaxy would show its true face to humanity. The main conference room on Concordia Station was designed to impress. The ceiling was made of transparent metal that showed the stars beyond. A circular table sat in the center, with seats for representatives from all 12 council races. Ambassador Park Hana sat in the chair marked for humanity, facing a room full of aliens who wanted to control her species. Counselor Bexhai stood at the head of the table, holding a data crystal that contained the peaceful coexistence accords. The Veltar's forearms moved as it spoke, making gestures that looked threatening even when they were supposed to be friendly. Ambassador Park, we have prepared a comprehensive agreement that will ensure peace between humanity and the galactic community, Bexhai said. This treaty represents months of careful work by our finest legal minds. Park Hana accepted the crystal and inserted it into her datapad. As she read, her face remained calm, but inside she felt cold anger building. The treaty was worse than she had expected. The accords would limit humanity to their current 17 star systems forever. Humans would be forbidden from developing new weapons or defensive technologies without council approval. All human trade would go through council-controlled ports, with the council taking a 60% fee. Human ships would be limited to civilian designs only, with no military vessels allowed. The worst part was the population management protocol. It would limit how many children humans could have, and required all human colonies to accept council supervisors who would oversee daily life. This is not a peace treaty, Park Hana said calmly. This is a surrender document. A ripple of movement went around the table. Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Ambassador, said Counselor Vexhai, a floating Zephyrian, you must understand that the galaxy has been peaceful for over 1,000 years. This peace exists because all races accept certain limitations. Humanity is simply too young and too aggressive to be given unlimited freedom. We have never attacked anyone, Park Hana replied. Not yet, said Thrundar, a massive Corvan in battle armor. But humans expand too fast. You learn too quickly. You ask too many questions. These are signs of a dangerous species. Dr. Kim Tae, who was sitting beside Park Hana, leaned forward. If learning and growing are dangerous, what does that say about the kind of peace you have created? Bexhai's large black eyes focused on Dr. Kim Tae. It says that we have learned from experience, young human. The galaxy has seen what happens when violent species are allowed to grow without limits. Wars that destroy entire star systems. Billions of deaths. We will not allow that to happen again. Captain Lee Jun was standing against the wall with Commander Choi Bin, supposedly a security for the human delegation. But both men were watching the alien guards and noting their positions and weapons. How long do we have to consider this agreement? Park Hana asked. You have until tomorrow at noon, station time, Bexhai said. After that, the Council will need to take other measures to ensure galactic security. And what do these other measures involve? The room became very quiet. Finally, Bexhai answered. The Veltar Empire has been given authority to implement protective measures around human space. If humanity cannot accept peaceful integration, then intervention will be necessary. Park Hana stood up slowly. You are threatening us. We are offering you a choice, Bexhai corrected. Join us willingly or join us under protection. Either way, humanity will become part of the council system. The meeting ended with polite words, but everyone understood the real message. Humanity had 24 hours to surrender, or the galaxy would take them by force. Back in their quarters, Lee Jun activated the signal blocker again. They are not even pretending anymore. This is a conquest. Park Hana was reading intelligence reports on her secured datapad. I managed to get a message through to Earth during the break. The communication satellites relayed it through 7 different systems to avoid detection. What did you tell them? Choi Bin asked. I sent a simple code that Admiral Yoon Kai will understand. 3 words. Wedding is off. Dr. Kim Tae looked confused. Wedding? It is a code we developed years ago, Lee Jun explained. It means that diplomatic negotiations have failed and military action is expected. Good, Choi Bin said. Maybe now Earth will send the fleet to get us out of here. Park Hana shook her head. The fleet cannot help us. 3,000 Veltar warships are surrounding human space. Even if Earth sent every ship we have, we would be outnumbered 15 to 1. A soft alarm sounded in the room. Lee Jun checked his personal scanner. We have visitors coming. A lot of them. The door opened without anyone knocking. Bexhai entered, followed by 6 Veltar guards in full combat armor. Their weapons were drawn. Ambassador Park, Bexhai said, I am afraid your time for consideration has been shortened. We have detected military signals being sent from your ship. This violates station security protocols. Our ship is not sending any military signals, Li Jun said. According to our sensors, it is. Therefore, we must assume that humanity is planning hostile action. The Council has authorized me to implement immediate protective measures. More aliens entered the room. Park Hana recognized several Council members, including Thrundar and Vexhai. They all looked serious and determined. What kind of protective measures? Park Hana asked. Vexhai activated a holographic display that showed the space around human colonies. Red symbols indicated Veltar fleet positions. There were hundreds of them. As of 1 hour ago, Veltar forces have taken control of all space routes leading to human systems. Your merchant ships have been stopped and boarded. Your communication networks have been disconnected. Your colonies are now under Council protection. The hologram changed to show images from human worlds. Veltar ships were hovering over cities. Ground forces were deploying around important buildings. This is an invasion, Dr. Kim Tae said. This is intervention, Vexhai corrected. Humanity chose to resist peaceful integration. Therefore, integration will proceed under military supervision. Choi Bin's hand moved toward his weapon, but Li Jun caught his arm. They were outnumbered and surrounded. Fighting now would only get them killed. Park Hana looked at the images of her people under alien occupation. Her voice was steady when she spoke. The peaceful coexistence accords required humanity to agree to the terms. Since you have already taken our worlds, the accords are meaningless. The accords still stand, Vexhai said. You can sign them and your people will be treated as junior partners in the Council. Or you can refuse and they will be treated as a protected species under direct Council supervision. Like the Dren, Dr. Kim Tae said quietly. The Dren are well cared for, Vexhai replied. They have food, shelter, and purpose. They serve the greater good of galactic civilization. They are slaves, Park Hana said. They are contributors to galactic peace, Thrundar rumbled, as humanity will be. The holographic display changed again. This time it showed Earth itself with Veltar ships in orbit around the homeworld of humanity. Your planet has not been occupied yet, Vexhai said. That is a courtesy we extend to you as intelligent beings. If you sign the accords now, Earth will remain under human administration with Council advisors to help guide your development. And if we refuse, then Earth will require more direct supervision. Park Hana looked at her team. Li Jun gave her a tiny nod. Choi Bin's face was hard with anger. Dr. Kim Tae looked sad but determined. I need to discuss this with my government, Park Hana said. You have 2 hours, Vexhai replied. After that, Earth status will be decided for you. The aliens left, taking their guards with them. But Park Hana knew they were still being watched and listened to. So this is it, Choi Bin said. 3,000 ships. Humanity is finished. But Li Jun was smiling and that surprised everyone. Maybe not, Commander. Did you notice something about those fleet positions? What do you mean? The Veltar have surrounded human space and taken control of the trade routes. They have forces over every human world. Li Jun's smile grew wider, but they are not attacking. They are just sitting there. Because they have already won, Dr. Kim Tae said. Or because they are waiting for something, Park Hana said quietly. She was beginning to understand what Li Jun was thinking. Admiral Yoon Kai got our message hours ago. Li Jun continued. By now he has had time to implement Protocol Omega. What is Protocol Omega? Dr. Kim Tae asked. Park Hana and Li Jun looked at each other. Something the Council does not know about, Park Hana said. Something that might change everything. Outside their window, more Veltar ships were arriving. The aliens thought they had won. Soon they would learn how wrong they were. Admiral Yoon Kai stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching his tactical display with satisfaction. Around him, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. They had been preparing for this moment for 3 years, ever since intelligence reports first suggested that the Galactic Council might become a problem. Admiral, reported Captain Ryu Han from the weapons console, all fleet units are in position. We have confirmation from all 17 colonial systems. Excellent. Status of Operation Homecoming. Phase 1 is complete, sir. All our merchant vessels have returned to designated safe zones. Civilian populations have been relocated to secure facilities. Colonial defense grids are fully activated. Yoon Kai nodded. The Veltar fleet commanders probably thought they were looking at helpless human colonies. They had no idea what they were really seeing. "Sir," called Captain Zhang So from the sensor station, "I am picking up massive energy readings from the Veltar fleet. They are powering up weapons across all ships." "Let them," Yun Kai said calmly. "Dr. Baekji, are our new toys ready to play?" Dr. Baekji looked up from her engineering console. The young woman had spent 2 years developing humanity's secret weapons. "All stealth fields are operational, Admiral. Quantum fold weapons are charged and ready. Adaptive shield networks are online. Then it is time to show the galaxy what humans have been doing while they thought we were playing with toy rockets." Light years away on Concordia Station, Counselor Bexhai was receiving reports from the Veltar fleet commanders. Everything was going according to plan. Human space was surrounded. The primitive human ships had been captured or disabled. Soon humanity would join the ranks of council servants. "Report from Admiral Thexmore," said a Veltar communications officer. "Human colonies show no signs of resistance. Their defensive installations appear to be simple energy barriers and missile platforms." Bexhai's forearms gestured in satisfaction. Primitive weapons for a primitive species. "Order Admiral Thexmore to begin landing operations on the primary human worlds. Start with their industrial centers." What Bexhai did not know was that Admiral Thexmore was about to receive the shock of his military career. The Veltar Admiral was commanding his fleet from the bridge of the massive warship Dominator. His tactical display showed human colonies that looked defenseless and weak. The energy reading suggested technology that was hundreds of years behind Council standards. "Begin landing operations," Thexmore ordered. "Deploy ground forces to the planet they call New Sol. Establish control of their manufacturing facilities." 50 Veltar troop transports moved toward the human colony. Their escort ships spread out in standard formation. Everything seemed normal until they crossed an invisible line in space. Suddenly, the empty space around the human colony came alive. Ships appeared from nowhere, materializing out of what had seemed like vacuum. But these were not the simple human vessels the Veltar expected. These were sleek, deadly machines that radiated power. "What is happening?" Thexmore demanded. "Where did those ships come from?" His sensor officer was staring at his instruments in confusion. "Admiral, they were there all along. Our sensors could not detect them. Their stealth technology is... It is impossible. The human ships opened fire. But these were not the primitive energy weapons the Council had seen in captured human vessels. These were weapons that bent space itself, creating focused gravity fields that tore Veltar ships apart from the inside. "Shields up," Thexmore shouted. "Return fire." Veltar energy beams struck the human ships and simply vanished. The human vessels were protected by shields that adapted instantly to any weapon used against them. "Our weapons have no effect," reported the tactical officer. "Their shields are absorbing everything we hit them with." More human ships appeared throughout the system. Not dozens, but hundreds. The Veltar fleet suddenly found itself outnumbered and outgunned. Similar scenes were playing out across all 17 human systems. What the Veltar had thought were helpless colonies were actually fortress worlds with defensive capabilities that made Council technology look like children's toys. Back on Concordia Station, emergency reports were flooding in from Veltar commanders across human space. Admiral Thexmore reports total failure of the New Sol operation. He has lost 30% of his fleet. Commander Vrakai says human ships are using weapons we have never seen before. His forces are retreating from the Titan system. Fleet. Admiral Krexval is requesting immediate reinforcements at Earth. He says the humans have orbital defense, platforms that are destroying everything we send at them. Bexhai's confidence was turning to panic. "How is this possible? Our intelligence reports said humans had only primitive technology." In her quarters, Ambassador Park Hana was listening to coded messages coming through her private communication device. The messages were short, but they told her everything she needed to know. Wedding guests have arrived. Party favors are working perfectly. The surprise is going over well. Park Hana smiled for the first time in days. Protocol Omega was working. Captain Lee Jun knocked on her door. When she let him in, he was grinning. "Ambassador, I think you should see this." He led her to the main observation deck of the station. Through the transparent walls, they could see the space around Concordia. When they had arrived, it had been filled with confident Veltar warships. Now those same ships were moving frantically, their formation broken. Emergency lights were flashing on many of the alien vessels. Some were listing to one side, showing obvious damage. Others were sending out distress signals. What happened to them? Park Hana asked, though she thought she knew. Admiral Yunkai happened to them, Li Jun replied. It seems that while the Veltar were positioning their fleets around human space, our people were positioning something around Veltar space. Dr. Kim Tae and Commander Choi Bin joined them at the observation window. Both men looked amazed at what they were seeing. How many ships does humanity really have? Dr. Kim Tae asked. That depends on how you count them, Li Jun said. The galaxy thinks we have about 200 combat vessels. The real number is closer to 2,000. Where did they all come from? We have been building them in secret for 3 years. Every merchant ship that left human space was actually a disguised warship. Every mining operation in empty systems was actually a hidden shipyard. Every scientific expedition was actually a scouting mission. Choi Bin was watching a Veltar cruiser that was spinning slowly, its engines dead. What about the weapons? Those quantum fold systems you mentioned? Dr. Bayekji and her team developed them by studying council technology and improving it. While the galaxy thought we were just learning to copy their designs, we were actually creating things they could never imagine. Park Hana felt a deep satisfaction as she watched the chaos in the Veltar fleet. How long has Earth been planning this? Since the day we first met an alien ship, Li Jun replied. Director Namsu started preparing contingency plans the moment we learned we were not alone in the galaxy. We hoped we would never need them, but you were ready just in case. We were ready. A new ship appeared in the space near the station. It was sleek and black with lines that suggested incredible speed and power. Park Hana had never seen anything like it. That is the UES Shadow, Li Jun said with pride. Admiral Yunkai's flagship. I think he wants to have a conversation with the council. The station's communication system activated. A calm, confident voice spoke in perfect galactic common language. This is Admiral Yunkai of the United Earth Systems Fleet. I am requesting permission to dock at Concordia Station for immediate diplomatic discussions. There was a long pause before Bexhai's voice replied. The Veltar sounded shaken. Admiral, this station is under council protection. You cannot, Counselor Bexhai, Yunkai interrupted smoothly. I suggest you look at your tactical displays before you finish that sentence. Park Hana could imagine Bexhai checking the sensor readings and seeing what she was seeing through the observation window. The entire Veltar fleet was either damaged, retreating, or sending surrender signals. Permission granted, Bexhai said quietly. As the shadow moved toward the docking bay, Park Hana felt the balance of power shifting. For 50 years, humanity had been the newcomers, the young race trying to find their place in an ancient galaxy. That was about to change. Admiral Yunkai walked into the council chamber like he owned it. Behind him came a squad of human marines in advanced combat armor that made the Veltar guards look primitive. The marines took positions around the room with military precision, their weapons ready but not threatening. The council members sat in their chairs looking stunned. Bexhai's forearms were trembling slightly. The floating Zephyrian delegate had deflated its gas sacks and was hovering much lower than before. Even the massive Corvin representative seemed smaller in his armor. Park Hana stood to greet her old mentor. Admiral, thank you for coming. Ambassador, I apologize for the delay. We had to deal with some uninvited guests in our neighborhood. Yunkai's voice was calm and polite, but everyone in the room could hear the steel underneath. He walked to the center of the circular table and activated a holographic projector. The display showed the current status of fleets across the galaxy. Red symbols showed Veltar ships. Blue symbols showed human forces. There was a lot more blue than anyone had expected. Ladies, gentlemen, and other distinguished beings, Yunkai began. I believe there has been a misunderstanding about humanity's capabilities and intentions. Allow me to clarify a few things. The hologram focused on human space. Where the Council had expected to see occupied worlds, they saw intact human colonies defended by powerful fleets. First, the invasion of human space has failed completely. Veltar forces have been repelled from all 17 of our systems. Their fleet has suffered approximately 40% casualties. The survivors are currently requesting permission to surrender. Bexhai found his voice. This is impossible. We had 3,000 ships. You had 3,000 ships, Yunkai agreed. We destroyed or disabled approximately 1,200 of them. The rest are fleeing toward Council Space, where they are discovering another surprise. The hologram expanded to show the wider galaxy. Council Space was now surrounded by human ships that had appeared from nowhere. You see, while you were moving your fleets to threaten us, we were moving our fleets to threaten you. The difference is that our ships are much better at not being seen. The Zephyrian delegate spoke in a high, whistling voice. How many ships do you have? Enough, Yunkai replied simply. Dr. Baekji stepped forward from the human delegation. Counselors, for the past 3 years, humanity has been preparing for the possibility that peaceful coexistence might not be possible. We built ships. We developed new technologies. We positioned forces throughout the galaxy. But our intelligence report said, Baekji started. Your intelligence report said what we wanted them to say, Director Nam Su said as he entered the chamber. The head of human intelligence looked pleased with himself. Every piece of information your spies gathered came through channels we controlled. Park Hana smiled. Director Nam Su was never working for you. You were working for him. Nam Su activated his own holographic display. We have been monitoring council activities for decades. We knew about your plans to subjugate humanity long before you made your first move. We also knew about your treatment of other young races. The hologram showed the enslaved species that served the council. The Dren, the Ketani, the Mordoon, and others. All of them had once been independent civilizations. Now they were servants. This ends today, Yunkai said firmly. The galactic order that has existed for 1,000 years is finished. There will be a new arrangement based on equality and mutual respect. Thrundar, the Corvan representative, leaned forward in his armor. You cannot dictate terms to the entire galaxy. We have been the dominant power for millennia. And now you are not, Yunkai replied. The question is whether you want to discuss new arrangements peacefully, or whether you prefer to test our military capabilities further. To emphasize his point, the holographic display showed human fleets positioned around every major council world. The message was clear. Humanity could reach any target in council space anytime they wanted. Captain Ryu Han stepped forward with a data crystal. We have prepared a new treaty for galactic consideration. We call it the Mutual Respect Accords. Park Hana accepted the crystal and began reading its contents to the council. Article 1. All sapient species have the right to self-determination. No species may subjugate another. Article 2. Trade between species will be conducted on fair terms. No species may demand tribute or excessive fees from another. Article 3. Military forces may only be used for defense. No species may use military power to coerce another into political agreements. As she read, the council members looked more and more uncomfortable. These rules would destroy their system of control. Article 4. All currently enslaved species will be granted immediate independence and provided with resources to rebuild their civilizations. Baekji stood up angrily. This is absurd. You cannot simply overturn the galactic order. We are not overturning it, Admiral Yunkai said calmly. We are replacing it with something better. And if we refuse, then you will discover that humanity has been very busy for the past 3 years. We have enough firepower positioned around council space to glass every one of your worlds, but we would prefer not to use it. The Zephyrian delegate deflated further. What guarantees do we have that humanity will not become the new tyrants? Dr. Kim Tae answered, because tyranny is what we are fighting against. The new galactic government will be democratic. Every species gets a voice. Every species gets a vote. No species gets to rule over others, even us, asked a small voice from the corner. Everyone turned to see a Dren worker who had been serving drinks. The little gray being was trembling with either fear or hope. Especially you, Park Hana said gently. The Dren will have full representation in the new galactic assembly. Your people will choose your own leaders and control your own destiny. The Dren worker fell to his knees and began crying tears of joy. Around the station, other servant species were listening to broadcasts of the negotiations. For the first time in centuries, they had hope. Yunkai gave the council members time to absorb what they were hearing. Then he continued. You have a choice. You can accept the new order and help us build a better galaxy, or you can resist and face the consequences. What consequences? Thrundar asked. Complete military defeat followed by occupation and reconstruction of your governments. Your people will survive, but your power will not. The Corvin was quiet for a long moment. Then he began to laugh. It was a deep rumbling sound that filled the chamber. By the ancestors, I cannot believe I am saying this, but I accept your terms. The other council members stared at him in shock. Why? HFY demanded. Because in 400 years of council membership, my people have never been free. We have been subjects, not partners. These humans offer us something the council never did. Dignity. One by one, other council members began to speak. The Zephyrian delegate was next. My people also accept these terms. We are tired of being afraid. Within an hour, all 12 council races had agreed to the mutual respect accords. Some did it willingly, recognizing the justice of the human proposal. Others did it because they had no choice. HFY was the last to agree. The Veltar looked defeated as he spoke. The Veltar Empire accepts the new order. But know this, humans. Governing a galaxy is harder than conquering one. We know, Admiral Yunkai replied. That is why we are not going to govern it. We are going to help all species learn to govern themselves. President Moonay appeared on the holographic display, speaking from Earth. Citizens of the galaxy, today marks the beginning of a new age. An age where no species bows to another. An age where cooperation replaces domination. An age where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. The broadcast was being transmitted to every world in the galaxy. On planets where servant species had labored for centuries, beings were celebrating in the streets. On council worlds, the reaction was more mixed, but even there, many welcomed the change. 3 months later, the first meeting of the Galactic Democratic Assembly was held on a neutral world chosen by vote of all member species. Representatives from over 40 races sat as equals in a great hall built specifically for the purpose. Ambassador Park Hana, now serving as humanity's first representative to the assembly, watched as former servants took their places beside former masters. The Dren delegate sat next to the Veltar representative. The Katani speaker was debating trade policies with a Corvin economist. It was not perfect. There were still tensions and disagreements. Some former council species tried to maintain their old privileges. Some newly freed species wanted revenge for centuries of oppression. But it was better. Much better. Captain Li Jun, now an admiral himself, found Park Hana after the first assembly session. So how does it feel to have helped reshape the galaxy? Park Hana looked out at the representatives from dozens of worlds, all working together to build something new. It feels like we are finally where we belong. Not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals among equals. And if someone tries to upset this new order, Park Hana smiled, then they will discover that humans are very good at protecting the things we care about. And we care about freedom, for everyone. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans were not the primitive newcomers they appeared to be. They were something much more dangerous, beings who would